stand-up comedy and comedy, yeah.
Stand-up comedy and wrestling use crowd psychology, but professional wrestling uses like so many aspects of it. They want dramatic, and then sometimes they can be funny. Sometimes they actually do put smiles on faces. While comedy, it's all about getting the laughs, and then with wrestling, they're trying to sell merch. With comedy, you're trying to sell drinks. That's why a lot of comics go up with like beer or like a drink because they want to advertise the bar. That's why there's a lot of jokes about drinking. There's many like similar parallels, but they all concentrate on different things. I think that's why you meet a lot of comedians that are fans of professional wrestling, and that's why you're seeing a lot of professional wrestlers get into stand-up comedy, because to them it's just more mic work. Basically, it's just like they're on the mic cutting a promo, except there's little tools and stuff that they have to learn about stand-up, because again, when they're in professional wrestling, they're working with, okay, this is when they're going to boo me. This is how I make it dramatic, blah, blah, blah. And then they get into stand-up comedy. Okay, I got to keep making them laugh. All right, here's some tools, here's some formulas, all that good stuff. But they usually end up doing pretty well. I remember working with Dolph Ziggler and watching his set, and I thought it was just going to be a bunch of pandering to an audience that's already like coming to see the wrestler.
Right. They don't care about his comedy. They just want to see the.
Yeah, they just want But he had formulas, and it was very apparent to me that he had actually been working at this craft and stuff. So I had a lot of respect for that. Plus,
awesome.
He was also a really nice dude and really respectful of the comics on the show and everything, and didn't do the whole like, oh, I'm Dolph Ziggler, I have millions of people,
He respected like that he wasn't necessarily like the man at the club or whatever. Like he was, but like in a different way.
Yeah, and it was cool to talk like comedy shop with him. And we had this guest spot who looked like Big Cass, and I'm about to go up there and like bring him off. And Dolph was just like, it'd be really funny if you called him an out of work Big Cass. And I'm like, shit, that will work. And yeah, did it, big pop, and he let me take all the credit for that. And I was cool. Like, oh, what a cool guy. Yeah, he was a fantastic dude. And he like talked to everyone that was there, even if they didn't like pay for anything or whatever. He would just talk to everybody there and tried to make everybody as happy as he could. And I took that, and that was a crazy week, because that week he was wrestling for the title after not being on TV for months. Like the week before the show, he showed back up on SmackDown, became #1 contender, and it was just like, oh. And me as a wrestling fan, I'm like, I'm working with the #1 contender for the WWE Championship. Oh, this is good. This is not nerve-wracking at all. But yeah,
you're like basically the Triple H in that situation. You're the guy that loses to the guy.
Yeah, but it was a fun show. I definitely recommend, like, anybody that's into wrestling, if a wrestler is coming to perform stand-up comedy, Mick Foley, Dolph Ziggler, I think Colt Cabana does stand-up comedy still. Go to one of those, man. You hear great stories, and if you're a wrestling fan, it's kind of like a behind the curtain type of show, but you can laugh about it because there's no important wrestling people in the room, so. Yeah.
Then you have passed the audition. You are absolutely going to be invited back when we do this as a wrestling show.
Oh, yeah.
Because we clearly have a lot to talk about. And shout out to my buddy Goobs, who actually does a podcast. He's on the Secret Levels video game podcast, and he said NXT is still really good, which I concur. For a WWE product, I think it's still the best one.
I love NXT, but... Okay, so when I started watching wrestling, I'm talking original Monday Night Wars, bro. I didn't watch both of them. I picked a side, and I still pick a side to this day.
So, were you a WCW guy?
I was a WCW guy all the time. The NWO was formed on my 10th birthday, and I remember that being the coolest thing I've ever seen.
What a present, man. What a present. That's cool.
Bash at the beach.
Bob, who's actually on the show last week, said RJ City is great at comedy too, as well. So, another crossover comedian and wrestler. But hey, man, we're actually here today to talk about something else, and I guess I should like introduce us and whatever. I do a podcast about The Simpsons. I get really nerdy about a lot of things though, and that's kind of what this is an outlet for like my other hobbies. One of those is gaming. The PS5 has been announced. It'll be coming out this year. You, sir, while you're also not only a wrestling fan and a stand-up comedian who has worked with the #1 contender to the WWE Championship, that's something you should put on your like comedian bio for what it's worth.
I was also on WWE TLC. I'm in the WWE.
Oh, I was
network.
there that night. I remember that. Yeah. But you're also a Twitch streamer, and you've got a pretty successful Twitch channel over there that you run. Tell us a little bit about your gaming history and talk a little bit about what you do as a streamer.
Gosh, my first console was just a regular Nintendo. I've just been playing video games since I can remember. Growing up, I had all the consoles. If it came out, I had it. I think the one I didn't have was Sega Saturn, but I had my friend Roger had one, so I'd go over there and play it. But yeah, man, just ever since I was little, just playing video games. And over at my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Red Nebula Pictures. I play a lot of stuff. I'm a variety streamer. Right now I'm playing Animal Crossing, and then tonight we'll be playing Remnant Ashes of the Fallen, I think it's called.
That sounds familiar, but I can't think of what that is.
It's a first-person shooter with a little bit of horror elements, but yeah, last week I was playing Nier Automata and The Last of Us Part 2.
Didn't you stream the last of that on like a 13-hour straight stream?
Oh my God. Well, I couldn't put it down.
Yeah.
The first stream was 6 hours. The second stream was 7 hours. And then I think right when we got towards the end of the game, it was the last 13 hours of the game. Yeah, I streamed it all because I didn't know I knew I was near the end, but I didn't know how long it was going to take to get to the end. And then right when they were just like, oh, this feels like the end, it gave you like another 3 hours.
I had the same thing happen to me last night. I actually finished the game last night. I ended up on a 7-hour session that I played through. And like at one point I remember saying out loud, like, I just want to go to bed. But like it's like I couldn't put it down.
It was too good.
Too good.
I don't understand the review bombing that game is getting, because I don't either. It's easily a Game of the Year contender, and not going to spoil the ending or anything, but the ending had so much symbolism and depth. It was brilliant writing for a video game. Absolutely brilliant writing.
I loved it, and I thought the story elements are great. There were times that I was like honestly a little bored with the stealth portions where I'm just like, okay, but it was just because I was tired and I wanted to get on with the story.
You can be stealthy in that game? No, I'm kidding.
Bob points out people just love to hate things, which is absolutely true.
Well, I think honestly, man, I think the reason that game got review bombed is, well, what happens in the first 2 hours, which I won't say, but also because of the sexuality of some characters in the game, and the unfortunate part about the gaming community is there are some toxic people who don't want that type of thing in video games, even though the video game is trying to give you a realistic modern world with a twist, and that's what The Last of Us is. Hey, this is our world with a zombie apocalypse. People would just rather be everyone's straight.
Yeah,
everyone's got to be straight.
It was already edgy with a female lead, right? So they shouldn't have pushed it anymore. No, I'm with you. I could see that kind of mindset, which is unfortunate. I mean, honestly, like those moments were just so brief. Like to me, it didn't like have like a significant impact on the story. I enjoyed elements of those storylines. Are there gay zombies? Honestly, that's not too far off from the truth.
The only thing about the game, but it like turned around for me, is like when you're switching back and forth between a couple characters. Again, not going to spoil. How one character was introduced and then you play as that character, you're like, oh, well, I don't care about this character. I've seen what this character's done, and I'm not siding with this character. But then they like sell you on it as you play throughout that character more. You're like, oh, okay, there was reasons. And then and then you get, and like, I just thought it was brilliant because it was pulling you back and forth with what you did as this character, and then what you're doing as this character, and then this character is going to find out what you were doing when you played this character, and it just made you conflicted throughout every minute of that game. And then that game brought in good moments of intensity, and then when it came down to peaceful times of the game, you actually felt at peace. I just thought that was a perfect 10 out of 10. And if it wasn't for PS5 coming out this year or Cyberpunk, I'd say Last of Us 2 would probably be game of the year. But
yeah, I think it'll have that weird asterisk though because of all of the controversial reviews or whatever. But I agree. I don't know that I'd say it's 10 out of 10. There was a couple of spots that lagged a little for me, but I'd definitely give it like a strong 8 or 9 out of 10 easy without even having to think twice about it. And I very much enjoyed the game. I personally don't understand the negative reviews, but I do think it will kind of keep it out of talks for Game of the Year contention in the end, just because I think it will have that like black smear across its name or whatever.
You know, I mean, it's just a toxic gaming community. I mean, this is not going to be the first game they review bomb because, and it's also a part of what happened in the first 2 hours of the game. This entitlement we have as just fans of art, you know, like, you know, how Star Wars, oh, it didn't go the way I wanted it to. It's not Star Wars. Well, no, it is Star Wars. You're not mad because J.J. Abrams messed up the franchise. You're mad that J.J. Abrams got to do it and you didn't. But really, J.J. Abrams is the most successful Star Wars fan. So that's what makes me mad.
Flashes and all, or whatever those things are called that he likes to do.
Those lens flares. Who doesn't like the lens? I love the lens flare. It adds.
Hey, dude. I don't know about you, but every note I've ever gotten after a show from the drunk guy in the third row has made my set better. So.
Oh yeah, no, my favorite audience member is the one who is confusing you with the comic before you. That's when you told that joke about your mom at the grocery store. It's just like, that's not my joke, but I'm gonna roll.
Not me, dude. I'm happy to take credit for it. Yeah, no problem there at all.
Or when they call it your skit. Oh, I love that. That is my favorite thing ever. My skit. Okay, we're in third grade. Cool.
So, you know, Game of the Year, though, could actually fall to a system that isn't even out yet. Because if rumors are true, the PlayStation 5 is dropping on November 20th. Is that right? November 11th. November, for sure.
I thought Cyberpunk was coming out in November. I thought PlayStation 5 was coming out Christmas Day.
I heard that it was dropping the week before Black Friday. That was the latest thing I watched. I was watching rumor videos like up until we watched this, but like again, rumor videos. So who knows?
Well, I mean, PlayStation is pretty vague, or Sony's pretty vague because they just say the release date is holidays. And that's what sucks about November and December. It's just 2 holidays back to back.
Right.
But I just always assumed it was Christmas because they like dropping their consoles out right before or right after or in the week of Christmas because that's the but no, that Black Friday would make sense. But I don't know. I know they put out PS2 on Christmas because that's when I got mine, and it was a big time in my life.
The PS2 is a solid, like you can make a strong argument the PS2 is the greatest system of all time, and I'm a Nintendo fanboy, but I could see the Sony PS2 being named the best system ever made.
PS2, and then right behind PS2 I'd put in Nintendo 64, and behind Nintendo 64 I'd go with either the first PlayStation or the first Xbox.
I love the first Xbox. I think that back in the day, since we're talking about the early stages, I thought the original Xbox was the only time in my life that I was like definitively that the Xbox won the console war that generation. Like I love the Xbox so much.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that only because I never played a game more than Halo. The first Halo, and then
same LAN parties all day. I mean, like as soon as school got out, all weekend long. Like, I mean, just.
And then I think the first real video game release date hype was Halo 2. Like that was the first game where like GameStop started the pre-order process.
They did a big party at mine. It was like a midnight launch. They had like a barbecue thing. They had a Halo tournament out in the parking lot.
Do you remember the date? Because I still remember the date to this day.
Oh God, I'm gonna say. I honestly, I don't even think I could get the year right, man. That's
you don't
sad.
have to get the year right. You don't have to get the year right. Just the
no. I won't get the. I'm gonna December 12th.
No, you're close though. November 9th. November 9th was
11/9.
Yeah, it was the big Halo 2 release. And I remember Bungie like throwing people off because they had like a cinematic trailer of Halo 2. And then like the Bungie logo turned into ilovebees.com. And you went into ilovebees.com. It was kind of like this internet like mini game that had nothing to do with Halo. But like they had people go in there looking for like details about Halo 2, but playing this like post-apocalyptic. It was like this internet game where like the internet's post-apocalyptic and someone took over like a family planning site and is leaving little messages about the future. It was crazy weird, but it had nothing to do with Halo 2. And then Halo 2 came out. Also, another great Xbox game that doesn't get any credit. That's a sports game. Top Spin Tennis was probably like the greatest.
Oh, dude, that's a good game.
Ever put out. You don't even have to like tennis, and you pick up Top Spin, and you're hooked.
Like, I would say that game and Mario Tennis are on like the level that you can. They're both like two of the only tennis games where like two randoms can just pick up the controllers and have like a good time because it's so arcadey, but it also has that I don't know, simulation quality that sports fans really like.
Yeah, those are the only two games I remember on Xbox. I don't remember playing. Oh.
There's this party, like Mario Party style game that I used to play the shit out of, but I couldn't even begin to think of the name of it. I
had the first Jedi Academy. Jedi Academy. The first Jedi Academy, Star Wars.
Did you have the like infamously terrible WWE Raw game that came out?
No.
I had it and it was awful.
I always kept my wrestling games on PlayStation, but I like post No Mercy.
Not 64? Oh, okay.
No, post No Mercy. Like I had No Mercy in WrestleMania 2000.
Got it.
But once PlayStation started cracking out the SmackDown games, I just stuck with PlayStation because like Here Comes the Pain was like the perfect wrestling game on PlayStation. With Brock Lesnar on the cover.
I got really into WWF Attitude, which in like today by today's standards is an awful game. Like each wrestler had like a very complicated move scheme to hit their finishers, and like if you had like somebody like Mankind, you'd have to get them up in like the Tree of Woe position, which was like impossible. But it was such a stupidly complicated game, but I spent so many hours dedicated to that game.
I did as well. It wasn't perfect, but it was an upgrade from Warzone to the point where it's like, oh my God, they're showing me how to do the finishing moves. And I think that's what kept us playing so long, because we needed to see how all the finishing moves work. The roster was huge.
Unlockable characters, which was kind of cool at the time.
Their entrances at the time were pretty sweet because they used the real music. They had pyro, but it wasn't like, looking back, it was terrible. But at the time, it was just like, all right, Acclaim. And then Acclaim already had us with Tony Hawk Pro Skater. So as soon as they were putting out the improved wrestling games, it was like, oh yeah, no, because this is the makers of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. Of course we're going to.
Have they said, is the reboot of Tony Hawk going to be on the PS5? It has to be, right?
It has to be. There's going to be a lot of PS4 games not making the transition because, not a lot of PS5 games that are going to be available for PS4 because of the technological restrictions. Resident Evil 8 is going to be one of them. I know for Cyberpunk that if you buy Cyberpunk on PS4, you will get it for free on PS5. They did.
I've heard there's a few games like that now. I think Cyberpunk was kind of the pioneer on this, and a lot of other games are jumping in. Like I saw today, the NBA 2K series. If you buy like the newest, but they're only doing it if you go with like the gold version of the game, and then you get an automatic update, which I kind of am cool with that, having to pay a little bit more. But like, I do think it's really neat that you can have faith in a company that's saying like, look, we know you're buying this game at the end of a cycle or kind of at an awkward time in like a gaming timeline. So like that gives me a lot of confidence in them that like if I wasn't already going to buy Cyberpunk, which I was, but if I wasn't, that would probably push me over the edge because I'd just be like, well, one free bonus when I inevitably do get a PS5.
So for NBA 2K, well, the one problem I've always had with NBA 2K is it's been the same game every year for the past number of years. So if I was an NBA 2K fan, I would just wait for that PS5 drop and not even get 2K on PS4.
Just not worry about it.
Because when you get to PS5, that 2K game is going to have to be different just because of the technological advancements with the PS5. It's going to have different gameplay. It's going to have different graphics. I mean, get 2K on PS4 if you want to, but like, don't be disappointed when it's exactly like 2K20. You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
Just wait it out because like, it's been a crazy year. I mean, the basketball is not even going to be on for another like 2 or 3 weeks. So you're not missing much, you know?
Yeah, it's really almost like, it's not even like really a true like full year upgrade because there hasn't really been a season. I mean, like it's hard to make a new game when there isn't new content. And actually, that's another thing that I hope that they are working on is to get the WWE series updated for the PS5 because this last game was garbage.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, 2K is dropping the WWE franchise, and that's why the last wrestling game was just kind of half-assed because they.
Oh, I didn't know that.
They stopped caring about it. That's pretty much what had happened. They'd stopped caring about it because the previous WWE 2K sales weren't up to their expectations. This was either the last or second to last release for them. So they were just like, whatever, it's wrestling. And they just kind of...
Our fans are going to buy it anyway.
Yeah. And that's kind of how they treat... Now, they treat NBA 2K a little bit better because that's their moneymaker, but that's why it's the same game every year. Pretty much. They do cosmetic changes to it, like, you know, like they do the different video episodes of their NBA 2K show. But WWE and the fact that they are now allowed to do NFL games again, maybe not specifically like Madden, but they're able to do NFL stuff again. WWE is going to take a huge like back of the line type of thing. So they're just going to let the rights to it drop and then anybody else can pick it up.
I hope somebody does pick it up and like looks at the potential that the new system has, like somebody that's like really passionate about the sport or sports entertainment, whatever the product. Because it's disappointing that I feel like there was a period there for a while, like, I don't know, probably like 2013 or 14 was maybe the highlight. But that 2K series was actually really good for a while. Like I thoroughly enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun. The online system was always somewhat broken, to be honest, but like it was still like manageable if you're playing with friends.
Well, I mean, they basically got what THQ finished, and then they just kept that blueprint. The wrestling games haven't been the same since THQ shut down, in my opinion.
And now this year, I think they are making a new wrestling game. I don't know who it is, but it's like really cartoony. And I know like in the it's like John Cena attacks somebody with an alligator at one point. Like it's like that level of like wrestling game. Like WWE meets like Injustice or something. I don't know. Goobs points out he's bought every wrestling game, and actually this is the only one he hasn't because it's hot garbage. Well, he avoided the last one because it's hot garbage.
And another reason why the last one was hot garbage is because one of the remaining developers from that perfect THQ franchise went Ukes actually left for WWE 2K20, and Ukes had been in the wrestling video game business
for a decade.
Since Nintendo 64. They are the ones responsible for No Mercy being so good. And the thing about Ukes, what they liked doing is they liked making wrestling games different every year. They didn't like working with 2K because 2K wanted the same thing every year. Where Ukes went, well, no, we want these types of things in there, and we want to make it different. And 2K's like, nah, let's just
make money.
Let's just make money. Microtransactions, VC, as we like to call it.
Did the 2K series ever get to a microtransaction situation other than like buying wrestler packs?
I think there was buying creator wrestler stuff. I think there was, and in NBA they do the My Team, which is just a big.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
it's a cash cow, dude.
I'm gonna put $100 into a whole box of player cards just to get that Jordan, and then I don't get that Jordan. So what do I end up doing? Putting more money in there because I got to get that Opal Jordan, and that's what they did. And I'm still a fool for it because like The Last Dance was running at the same time I was playing 2K, so I was like, oh, I need this team. But yeah.
Did you collect like actual baseball or basketball or football cards, anything like that?
No, I collected wrestling cards. I collected the Attitude Era. They weren't even playing cards; they were trading cards, and they would just be like high definition images of like what was going on TV. So like Austin stunning Santa Claus, and then you turn the card around, and it would be like information on that particular segment. And stuff, and some of it was kind of behind the curtain stuff. I remember, what was the one where they revealed he was fired the next week? I can't even remember. There was like a wrestler from the Attitude Era, and like the picture was of his segment, and he got fired for it. And I can't remember who that was to save my life. I think it might have been Mark Marrow. Mark Marrow. I'm not sure.
Seems like a thing that he would do, especially if he was on his way out.
No. It was the Brawl for All. And it was Bart Gunn getting knocked out by Butterbean. And on the back of the card, it said, like, Bart Gunn never recovered from his injuries and had to be let go from the company. And I was just like, and I'm a little kid reading that. And I was like, oh, that's that's weird. I thought he'd make a comeback. God, remember the 90s? Those were great.
Dude, that's still like, say what you say about it, but that's still my favorite like era in wrestling. I know that by today's standards, there's a lot wrong with it, but like, fuck it, I don't care. There's so much to love about the 90s.
The 90s were a wasteland. It's anything happened in the 90s. Like in the Attitude Era in WWF, like things would just be totally problematic. Even if it was a bad idea, it still got ratings. It really did.
It was like the very like Jerry Springer type of like ratings. Like, I mean, that like no one tuned in for Jerry Springer because he was like this extraordinary host. He's fine, but it was all the crazy fucking fights and like people getting pulled apart and like, oh, we have this exact person that would suck to be here right now behind stage listening right now.
I'm glad you said fucking because that was my confirmation that we could cuss on this.
Oh, say whatever you want, dude. I'm sorry. I should have told you that up front. My bad.
Oh, no, It's good. I like to hear the host say it and then I go into it.
And then you're good. Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, again, you're definitely coming back to the wrestling show, and everybody in the comments
we keep getting back into wrestling. We're supposed to be talking.
You said when you tweeted about this or whatever, you're like, we're inevitably going to talk about wrestling.
We're both wrestling fans. It is bound to happen, and I didn't help with my CM Punk T-shirt. So.
No, not at all. Nexus style, man. That's cool.
Yeah.
So the PS5, sir, I saw whenever they announced it, again, you're a Twitch streamer, so this is going to actually have a pretty big impact on, I would say, your like day-to-day life. I mean, is this a absolute day one purchase, no questions asked for you?
I don't know. I don't know.
I wasn't expecting that answer.
I want it to be, but if they have PS5 remote play immediately available, then yes, it will be a day one purchase. It will be a immediately streaming type of thing. If not, then I have to use a capture card to stream it. Now I have a capture card from the Nintendo Switch. I don't know if that capture card would be able to withstand the PS5. I'd have to look at the technological requirements of the PS5 because there's so many advancements with that console. That I don't want to get it, plug it into my Elgato capture card, and then it's just too high powered for the capture card to pick it up. One thing I love about Sony with the PS4 is that you have PS4 remote play. So my PC and my PlayStation 4 can just get together through Wi-Fi and I can stream no problem. So I'm hoping they have remote play out. But I'm going to be honest, it's probably going to be a day one purchase. I can't. I saw the reveal event and everything coming out.
You were online like during the reveal event, like basically sharing your live reactions.
It was. I mean, they opened it up with Miles Morales Spider-Man, and it was just like,
that's gonna be amazing, dude.
That was. I was just like, okay, everything after this is just like, it's just like more cake for your birthday. You know what I mean? It was like even Ratchet and Clank looked appear. I wasn't a big Ratchet and Clank fan, but seeing what they're doing with Ratchet and Clank, they're really taking advantage of that quick loading time of just going from one map to another. Oh my gosh, that looks.
The loading time thing is incredible. Honestly, I don't even know how they like did that because it's just it's super naturally fast.
Well, so basically. What's going to stand this out from other PlayStation consoles is they're using up-to-date PC hardware, whereas like PlayStation 4 and even PlayStation 3, it's not like their PC hardware was up-to-date, but it was like a year behind. Right now, they're using PC hardware, the same PC hardware that's like killing Intel right now. Like Intel is like losing money to the PC hardware and the PC processing chips and all that. And they're using that for the PS5. Now, Xbox will probably have the same thing. We got to wait for the Xbox reveal event to get all the specs to the Xbox refrigerator or whatever they're calling it. But just
fridge versus the router, I believe, is the current name. Yeah.
But with Sony letting you know the exclusives right away and everything, I mean, Sony's lineup was really, really strong. And then at the end of it with Horizon Forbidden West, man, it's hard.
They end capped it like so well. Like they knew they had like 2 home runs to start the show and end the show. And I'll be honest, I have yet to play Horizon Zero Dawn. It's something it's on my to-do list. I actually think I have the game and just haven't gotten around to investing the time into it. But like the reveal event made me excited to go back and play it so that I could be ready for Horizon West.
I had bought it just to make fun of it. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't read any reviews. I don't even think reviews were out yet. It was just like it had just come out. It had hit my PlayStation at 11 o'clock Central, which is midnight for where PlayStation is located, PlayStation's home office. So like I actually get the games an hour before their actual like release day. So I got it. I was streaming on YouTube at the time because I was just new to streaming. And I was just like, okay, I'm going to make fun of this game because robot animals. I mean, it's right there. I could just take comedy out of that.
20 minutes. Make a bunch of Sonic jokes, yeah.
20 minutes in, dude, I am just crying at how beautiful this game is. And then I'm really invested in the story. And I'm just like, never mind, guys, we're not making fun of it because this is awesome. And just to complete that game and see where the story went, totally excited for the sequel. I can't give you any spoilers because you haven't played it for some reason.
Sorry, man. But I stayed up late last night beating The Last of Us 2 just so we could spoil the shit out of it.
No.
We were nice about that too.
I mean, I wouldn't, but that's the thing. I'm a non-spoiling type of guy because I feel
I don't usually either.
When you spoil something good. Now, if it was a bad game, I would spoil.
Who cares? Yeah.
Don't play this. But with something like Last of Us 2 or Horizon Zero Dawn, it's like, no, you guys need to play this without any spoilers. If you don't want to play it and get spoilers, go to YouTube. But I'm not gonna take that from you. You know,
I agree with that sentiment for the most part. And like, I feel like spoil culture is weird now because everybody watches things on streaming. So like, especially if you're talking about like television shows or movies, it's like you never know. Like somebody might just be watching Dexter for the first time, and you don't want to give away the Trinity Killer or whatever. And like, but like that was like what 12 years ago. I feel like I should be able to talk about it freely.
I have a 5-year rule. Like if it's been after 5 years, like Breaking Bad right now, I can spoil it.
Fair game.
If it's after 5 years, I'll spoil it for you. Now, for people that come into my streams and watch me play Last of Us Part 2, okay, if you would just rather watch it and not play it, well then, okay. But just keep in mind, I'm not going to hold my tongue in these streams. If someone comes in and he watched the stream last night and he says, what's going on? I've missed some of it. I'm going to fill him in. So
yeah, I think that's complete, especially if you're watching you play it live. I mean, they have to be expecting some spoilers at that point, right?
Yeah. And some people that usually come to my stream didn't come watch it. And that's absolutely fine too. They sent me a message. Hey man, I'm sorry. I'd come in there, but you're playing Last of Us 2. I don't want to be spoiled. Hey, that's absolutely fine. I do not care. But yeah, I'm gonna spoil. It's gonna be spoiled inside of a stream.
Why, Dan? There's so many streams out there. Why would somebody come and listen to you play a game versus somebody else? It's like, what's your niche in the streaming world?
Well, okay, because I'm streaming because I love games. Like, it's cool to make money at Twitch. I'm very grateful at that's very small money that I make, but honestly, I'm just there because playing video games now, it was always fun to me to play like a video game with like a friend in the room or a group of friends.
Yeah.
And that's what I get out of it. When you have like 8 or 9 people watching your stream, it's just like 8 or 9 people in my apartment. And that would be madness, actually, now that I look at that. But that's what I get out of it. I try to be as genuine as I can. And I see a lot of streamers that are like, okay, guys, click that sub button. And
is that how you open all your shows? Like, there's a button here.
You can always donate bits and blah, blah, blah. Or they do follower-only chats, or they do subscriber-only chats, and they just try to get people just to pour money into them. And I don't feel like that's genuine. And like, I can always tell what kind of streamer someone's going to be when they tell me their first game that they're going to stream. So like, I had a friend. He was like, I'm going to start streaming, man. Blah, blah, blah. What's your first game? Fortnite. I'm like, okay, then I know what kind of streamer you're going to be. You see what Ninja's doing, and you're like, I could do that and make money. But when someone's like, oh, I always loved Final Fantasy VI, I'm like, there you go.
There it is. You want your audience to be the people that love that game.
It's not that they want a specific audience. They just like, I love Final Fantasy VI, and I want to be around more people that enjoy Final Fantasy games. Yeah, so you're right. Yeah, it's a certain demographic, but they wouldn't call it a demographic. They just want to make new Final Fantasy friends. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's cool. I like that analogy so much of the like being on like the couch gameplay, because I think we both grew up in that same era where that's couch co-op and couch competitive both were like the thing. And we talked about Halo 2 earlier, and that's actually a game that to me brings out mixed feelings, because in some ways that game represents online play taking over for couch online. And like, as big of a pain in the ass as it is, and as nice as the internet is, of course, now, like, I miss that, like, you having to have that commitment to have 4 Xboxes, a router, 4 cables, 4 TVs, and like a bunch of people crammed into a spot to play.
That doesn't sound like madness to you. Like, I was always like I enjoyed, grabbing my TV, grabbing my Xbox and all this crap just to go play with like 3 or 4
with your friends.
But it was such a hassle because it's
an insane hassle. And I sound like a crotchety old man yelling at clouds. Totally.
Yeah, Branton didn't bring his TV, so we can't do 4-player. We have to do 3-player instead. I liked online when online first came out, which, if you remember, online first came out with the Sega Saturn. That's why I always went to my friend Roger's house, because it was like I'd never experienced that before. So when like I got online capability with Xbox, I was just like, man, this is so easy and fun. I don't have to rely on people to bring a TV. And this was 90s. So like the TVs were huge and heavy, and you'd have to help them bring them inside. And oh my God. But I guess different strokes for different folks. I mean, it was still fun playing on landlines and what have you. But
dude, I'm not like advocating for the fact that I actually want that to come back, but there is a part of me that has that like nostalgia bug for it, is all I'm really claiming. There's an aspect that I think that the online lacks in terms of like when you're playing a game, but I like that, like when you're saying on your Twitch channel, when you just have people that are like engaging in conversation about the game. I do it like every once. I stream The Last of Us 2. I'll occasionally stream like a game where it's like I hope somebody will join in and talk to me, because like really that's what it is. You're investing in a 25-hour journey, and like it's like somebody come keep me company while doing this.
And I left. I mean, I was doing YouTube at first, and I had left.
That's what I still do.
I mean, I just couldn't get into YouTube. I really couldn't, because like it's needle in a haystack type of thing. Where with Twitch, and not to like give love out to Twitch on a different platform.
It's fine. They're gaming. This is podcasting. We're
okay.
Totally good.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's not like
people. Get Vocal is most likely heard of Twitch. I'm guessing.
I'm sure. But the thing I like about Twitch is like if like people can find you much easier than they can on YouTube. I never tried out Mixer, but they can find you much easier on Twitch than they can YouTube. So like the first,
you didn't want to follow in Ninja's footsteps?
No. The first game I streamed was Final Fantasy VII, the original, because that's my all-time favorite game. I've been playing
my best friend and my co-host on Best Darn Diddley, who will actually be with me next week on this show, but his favorite game of all time is Final Fantasy VII.
It's a good man.
And all he's talked about for like months at this point, gaming-wise, was the remake.
How did he like the ending to the remake?
I want to say he enjoyed it. He enjoyed. I think he talked to me more about the parts they changed in the middle, which again I'm not that familiar with. I've never played Final Fantasy VII. All right. Well, I'm just gonna ramble for the next 90 minutes. So actually, my story with Final Fantasy VII is I went and demoed it for the very first time whenever Funko Land was still a thing, and at that time.
Funko Land, them deals, bro, them deals. Okay, sorry.
It was great, dude. No, I loved it. It was like the better version of GameStop before GameStop was a thing. But they would let you demo a game in the back before you bought it. And I tried Final Fantasy VII, and I played like the train sequence, and I thought it was just the most boring damn thing I'd ever experienced.
So they started you with the train sequence. They started you like. So you're not even doing you're not even doing the reactor part at the beginning. You're doing the train sequence, which is like a little bit after. Yeah, I would understand that. That's not the most exciting thing. Wow, your Funko Land hated you. I don't know why they would make you.
They really wanted to sell me that copy of Mortal Kombat 3 they had.
Oh, yeah. That's probably. Oh, yeah. Let's take you to the Final Fantasy VII, and here's the part where you're just in a field. You're chocobo racing.
This is basically the game. If you don't like this, you won't like it. And I just never got back to trying it.
Well, so what made Final Fantasy different was one. Tipper Gore put it with Grand Theft Auto as for her case to put the ESRB ratings on video games.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Because Final Fantasy VII had a cross-dressing scene and implied children had died. That was two of her reasonings, that there was cross-dressing and children had died. But Final Fantasy VII was probably at that time the darkest Final Fantasy that could come out. Like there's always been like a hint of dark storylines in Final Fantasy games, but Final Fantasy VII was really insanely dark. And that, yeah, children had died, but you didn't see them. It was always implied. But also that like, oh, they're cussing, and this main character's got a gun on his arm, and then his backstory is really messed up, and then this character's backstory is really messed up, and just so many dark aspects of that game, and also like big corporation taking over a city. It was kind of very ahead of its time. I mean, if you look at our country right now, corporations rule everything, and then at the time in 97 or 96, none of us knew that corporations were just kind of in charge of everything. You know, we were all just distracted by the wasteland that was the 90s of here's crap in your face, you know?
Everything can be allowed on TV.
But also like Final Fantasy VII, we didn't think the graphics could get any better than those graphics. And I'm not talking about the gameplay graphics, just the cinematics. We didn't think it would get much better than that. And then also the music.
We thought gaming had peaked. Yeah.
Yeah, the music. Like you can't tell me the music of any video game before Final Fantasy VII. Final Fantasy VII hit, and the music is so iconic that music became a big part in video games.
On that when like soundtracks started being
soundtracks and yeah, like Final Fantasy VII soundtracks got you interested in the previous Final Fantasy soundtrack, because all of a sudden like you were able to like go, oh, that's why they chose this music, because they wanted to set this mood. Final Fantasy VII did a great job of giving you music that set the mood, and I think that was one of the big iconic parts of Final Fantasy VII. And then Sephiroth, one of the greatest characters ever written in video game history. Very underrated, as a matter of fact. I don't feel like enough people talk about Sephiroth.
I only know about Cloud. I don't know Seth. That goes to show how underrated the character is.
Yeah, Sephiroth is probably one of the most evil people in video game history, especially that big iconic scene of what he ends up doing in Final Fantasy VII. But I'm glad
they clearly need to add him to Super Smash Brothers so that he's on my radar.
Oh, he would kill everybody. It'd be the first time Smash Brothers had fatalities. That's what.
You just see like Kirby like's head ripped off or whatever.
Do it. He just cuts Kirby in half and eats him like a cupcake,
like a marshmallow.
Do it. Do it, Nintendo. But yeah, I'm glad I'm glad your friend liked the ending to the remake, because that was another thing that was review bombed when I absolutely enjoyed it as well. Because after 20 plus years, yeah, give me something different. And it does explain in the middle why things are very different. And it did explain why there were little nuanced changes. I thought it had a very good ending, and I can't wait for the part 2, which will probably be on PS5 and will rock.
Wait, there's going to be a Final Fantasy VII part 2?
Absolutely, they didn't do the whole game in the remake. They gave
cool.
They gave you a little bit, and then they said, and now it's going to be all changed up. And then we were just like, what? And a lot of people.
That's a cool way to do, like, it's like a reboot, really, that it's not even a remake.
Mm-hmm. Oh, no. It was a remake. They just changed they flipped everything upside down in the ending of that game to where it's like, if it was a true remake, nothing changed. You'd start out the second part in a town called Calm, and now we don't know exactly where we're starting out in part 2. Because everything was just flipped on its ass. And that makes me excited. And there were certain characters that had died that are now alive. And it was great. It was wonderful. I'm not going to try to spoil it too much because it hasn't been 5 years, but,
Totally. I think you touched on something else interesting in there, Dan, when you're talking about how like we thought that graphics had peaked at the I guess that'd have been like the PlayStation era.
Mm-hmm.
Have we how much better can we really get? How much better can the PS5 be over the PS4 Pro? As a streamer, as somebody that does this a lot, how can it possibly get that much better?
Well, it really all depends on where television goes. So TVs are now testing like 8K, so right now we have, which is great, and 4K can improve graphics to where it's like in that 2K1 preview, you couldn't tell if that was a video game Zion Williamson or the actual Zion Williamson. We're talking like being able to see sweat pour down. We're talking about being able to see fingerprints and everything. And I think that's where we're going to get to this point where I think it's going to get to the point where we can go so much into console that we're pretty much going to evolve to a point where we're actually there in a VR type of headset, but not just like a regular headset. We'll be able to put on gloves and clothes and actually be in the game, and everything's going to look real, kind of like a Black Mirror episode where we're watching.
See, you're pushing boundaries here, dude, because like at a certain point, are you saying that experience is going to kill the controller in your hand, beer on your side, bowl on the table next to you?
It's the story with everything in technology, man. We started with Nokia phones that had Snake, and now we're in phones that check internet, check the weather, have HD screens. There just gets to a point where in that where pretty much something has to come and kill something else. Video killed the radio. We evolve past the point, and eventually video game graphics are going to become so much to handle that, yeah, the controller is going to have to be gone, because we're going to want to evolve. We're going to want to actually be in the game, because the game looks so real now that the controller is just obsolete. I want to get in there. And I think that's why they're testing the VR headset. Or not testing it. I think that's why they put it out. They want to test that market. They want to test and see where they can go with the VR headset. And that's not just PlayStation, but, you know, it's Oculus. It's, you know, all these other different companies. We're eventually going to get to that point where it's just the video games look so real. Okay, let me put on some some new age power gloves ahead and let me get in there. It's going to be very Black Mirror. It's going to be like, and then eventually from that point, we're going to put in like eye contacts. And Miles, we're going to be dead by that time. Don't worry.
Yeah, like I'm not worried about that. Yeah, I too don't plan on living past next year. But
okay, Miles is just revealing his suicide, or the fact that he plans to get COVID. But yeah,
one of the two.
No, I think consoles still have a good number of years left in them. But I think that's eventually the stage we're going to get to. We're going to get to like PS5, PS6. No, maybe like even PS10, not even being a console. It's just going to be like a whole body suit that you have.
Dude, do you remember the PS2 commercial that was like a pseudo fake PS9 commercial? Did you ever see that?
Yeah. Oh, I do remember that. Yeah.
I saw it one time at a dollar theater in North Richland Hills, and it made such a lasting impression on me because, like, I remember thinking, I'm like, holy shit, that probably is the future of video gaming. Like, and it probably won't even be PS9. It'll probably be like PS7.
Yeah, I do remember that. God, that was a PS2 commercial. I saw that. Wasn't that like a Super Bowl commercial? That was a Super Bowl commercial. I do believe.
I saw it once at a dollar theater. That's where I saw it, but it very well could have premiered at a Super Bowl. I think
it premiered at a Super Bowl. I think it premiered. Oh, Super Bowl, not the one the one that John Elway won. I want to say it was John Elway. It might have been the one that the Rams won. But yeah, I remember that. That is so. I've never thought about that commercial until like right now, and now I feel old. 4 days before my birthday. Thank you, Miles.
Yeah, dude. Happy birthday. You got we got 8 minutes left as right now. So you got a birthday stream coming up.
So fast. Yeah.
I know.
Birthday
Talk about your birthday stream.
Birthday stream, 24 hours, playing multiple games. This is the only time I do a 24-hour stream because I'm going to be 33, and like I literally just bought like an orthopedic.
Dude, to be fair, you don't look a day older than 48. So.
Thank you. The number gets lower every year. No, I literally brought like an orthopedic seat cushion for this gaming chair for my tailbone, just so I could do. Which is, I mean, and it's so existential when you shop for a seat cushion, because like you'll go on Amazon and all the models for the seat cushions are like middle-aged people, and you're like, oh, sure. Fuck me. But 24
your targeted ads are gonna get real weird for a while, dude.
Yeah, no, I know. I can't wait when I have to get Preparation H and I see like my grandmother as a model. So it's going to be a 24-hour stream. It's multiple games, Animal Crossing, Overwatch, Star Wars Battlefront 2. I'm going to be playing with viewers. I'm going to be playing with friends. Then we're going to do like single-player games. Like I'm going to replay Octopath Traveler, which is a
that's a game I've heard really good things about that I haven't dipped into yet.
A beautiful, beautiful Square Enix player or Enix single player. And yeah, I'm going to try to replay Horizon Zero Dawn on New Game Plus on Ultra Hard. I'm going to try to beat the Final Fantasy VII Remake on Hard Mode, which is something I have attempted. And then I raged in Chapter 2. That's a little bit, that shows you how hard that is. But yeah, it's going to be 24 hours with a couple breaks here and there. But at the breaks is going to be footage of my stand-up.
So smart. That's awesome.
It's only 20 minutes, so like 20-minute breaks each time. And yeah, that's pretty much what it's going to be. And I'm going to try not to hallucinate and lose my fucking mind. But that's why I don't do 24-hour streams a lot, because you'll lose your mind at the 18 or 19 hour point. And
what is your like average stream, would you say?
My average, on average, I streamed about 5 to 8 hours on average. That Last of Us 13-hour stream was like the longest stream in a while.
Yeah, and again, that's more of a circumstantial thing, because there is a point in that game. I was talking to the same guy, Richie, the same guy we were just talking about, like the Final Fantasy VII remake. My co-host, he was, or I was talking to him about, like, there's a certain point you hit and you just don't want to quit playing the game, and he hasn't hit that point yet. But I warned him. I'm like, just be prepared for like an extra long session.
So here was my dilemma was, because you get to a certain part of the game where you think it's the end. And then you're like, you find out it's not the end. And I was on stream, so I was just like, well, I don't want to stream this tomorrow and only play an hour. Right. Because you're thinking there's only an hour left of the game. And just, nope, there was 3 or 4 hours more. And then I was just like, well, I got to beat it now because I'm in too deep. I'm in too deep just to end stream, because I don't know when this game is ending, but I know it's ending soon. So that's the dilemma you get into. For a streamer. Now, for just as a fan of video games, yeah, you won't put it down, because the story has just, you're like, how is this going to end?
You're hooked. You're hooked. Yeah, at a certain point, you're hooked. All right, so we got exactly like 4 minutes left right now. I want to say thank you to Goobs and Bob for being in the chat. I want you to plug all of the things that you'd like to plug, but my final question after you get done plugging, when I asked you what topic you want to talk about, you, with like multiple exclamation points, said PS5. Why PS5 over the Xbox? But again, plug first, answer questions.
Plug first. DanDanzy.com. You can find merch from my Twitch channel and merch from my stand-up. Stand-up's not around right now in Texas. So if you can come to the stream or go get some merch, I have an awesome shirt that says "Keep Running." It's based on my closing joke, but it's a guy and with a hospital IV in a gown running from the Grim Reaper. It fits what's going on in today's world, so it would help me out. And it's a cool shirt. It's made out of great material. You'll love it. And then my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/RedNebulaPictures. Not only do we stream video games on there, but we have a weekly talk show, much like this, every Friday, actually tonight at 7 p.m., where we cover everything in nerd culture, from movies and TVs to comic books to gaming. Tonight, we're going to be talking about Ben Affleck being rumored to return as Batman for an HBO Max exclusive Batman movies. So
hell yeah.
Check that out. We're going to dive into that. And then why PS5? Why PS5? I think from what I saw, now I haven't seen Xbox's reveal, but I have seen what their console has looked like, and judging from their history, Xbox's history hasn't been solid. They come out, and I'm not one of those PS5 is better than Xbox. I'm just an objective gamer. Xbox always has these high expectations, and they come out and they just don't quite nail it. When was the last time you said PlayStation didn't nail it? You can't. PS2, you just said, probably one of the greatest systems alive. PS3, solid. PS4, solid. PS5 is looking like it's going to be the most innovative console to ever hit the market. We're talking load times, the PC hardware that I just said. Whereas Microsoft always gets hit in the mouth, like every time these console wars happen. There's a reason. There's a reason Sony is like number one every time the consoles start selling. They always end up number one because they're the more consistent console makers. Nintendo is fine at being number 3. And honestly, Nintendo's not going anywhere. If they put out more games like Animal Crossing, Nintendo's going to be fine. But I think with this console war, it's going to be the beginning of the end for Xbox, I think, because I think the PS5 is going to be extraordinarily innovative, especially when we start getting into VR. For the PS5, when we start getting into just how big streaming has become, PlayStation didn't have a hand in streaming, whereas Microsoft did, and they already failed. They already failed at the streaming game with Mixer. where PlayStation's like, hey, go ahead, stream. We don't have a dog in this fight.
Mixer was barely around for even like a cup of coffee too. I mean, they were in and out.
Well, I mean, it's the market share, and we'll close on this. Twitch is going to be around for a while because Twitch is owned by Amazon. So when you even think about when you get into streaming and you buy equipment, where do you buy it? You buy it from Amazon. And I don't think that's something Microsoft even thought of. So they went and spent money that they didn't have on these streamers, thinking that they were going to get people starting up on Mixer. What they really got was they got people in the Twitch community that just want to make money and not building a community. They got them on Mixer because Mixer's easier to do that apparently. But if there's no community, there's no clientele coming in. There's no viewers coming in. Where in Twitch, you have people that just solely view. They don't stream. And so that's my point. Microsoft doesn't think about stuff like that. So when Microsoft is ignorant in one type of thing, they're ignorant in another type of thing, which is console making. You know, Xbox, original Xbox, they had it right with Halo 2 and all their exclusives. What happened? They depended solely on those franchises and didn't make anything new. Whereas Sony comes out, Horizon Zero Dawn, Spider-Man, freaking just all these exclusives that are consistently good, consistent game of the years. It's going to be interesting. Xbox right now is going to depend on the games that aren't franchises and just cross their fingers and hope to God. PlayStation 5 is going to be very innovative, and the exclusives are going to be just off the map and definitely worth your purchase this holiday season. Well,
there you go. All right, Dan, I'm going to flash the light at you right there, but I'm so glad you came on. You were the perfect guest for today's topic. You'll definitely be back on the show if you're willing. I would love to have you again.
Love it. I would
conversations.
Love to. Awesome. I got nothing going on.
Follow Dan on his Twitch channel. Go and check out his stream tonight after you get done watching Fandom Friday, which stay tuned with that for David from Tales from the Fandom, and come back and see me next week. I've got another special guest lined up. Next week, I'm actually going to have both author Matthew Klickstein and Simpsons writer Mike Reese on the show.
Why couldn't I be in that episode?
And talk in the chat and have a good time with us next Friday, and we'll see you next week.